Good morning, second graders. Today we are on page 237 of your student journal, page 237. And our objective today says, today I will practice adding 3-digit, and boys and girls, it's supposed to say 3-digit numbers. So I'm going to have to squish it in here. 3-digit numbers with and without regrouping using the place value strategy. So let's read that one more time. Today I will practice adding 3-digit numbers, which means our numbers are going to be in the hundreds place, with and without regrouping using the place value strategy. Okay, so we've done the place value strategy with 2-digit numbers. Let's look at it to remind ourselves what the place value strategy is. Okay, we use a place value chart, and what we do here in the place value strategy is we break up our number by decomposing it or putting it in expanded form. So instead of 300, instead of 348, we put 348. So that's called decomposing our number or putting it in expanded form. And then we use the place value chart. We're also still going to be doing working form on the side as well. We'll still be using working form when we do this. Okay, let's look at our steps. It says we're going to decompose the add-ins into ones, tens, hundreds on the place value chart. So we're going to use expanded form. That's what we're going to be using first, is expanded form. Then it says add the values in the ones column. Okay, so we always do the ones first. Always start in the ones, and then if necessary, regroup. So if we have to, we'll bundle and regroup only if we have to. And remember, we have to when we have 10 or more. So if you have under 10, we don't bundle because we bundle groups of 10 together. So after we add the ones, we're going to add tens. I'm going to circle those, ones, tens, and then if necessary, regroup. So we're going to add the ones, regroup if we have to. Add tens, regroup if we have to. Then we're going to add the hundreds. Okay, and we're going to stop right there because the last step says working form, and we'll do working form as well. This is a lot to read, so I want you just to remember we're going to do expanded form, then the add the ones, if necessary, regroup. Add tens, if necessary, regroup. Add hundreds, and then afterwards we will do our working form. Okay, so boys and girls, I'm going to get started on my first problem. And my first problem is 392 plus or add 482. Okay. So my first step says I'm going to take my two add-ins and write them in expanded form. Okay, to help me with that, and we've done this before, I like to put my place values on top. So that's my ones, my tens. Oh, that marker is not very nice. Let's try a different marker, boys and girls. My ones, my tens, and my hundreds. Okay, and on this one, this is my ones, tens, and hundreds. That helps me when I'm putting it in expanded form. It also helps me become a better mathematician by learning my place values. Okay, so my first add-in has 3 hundreds. So I'm going to write that here. 3 hundreds has 9 tens. 9 tens is 90 and has 2 ones. Okay, my second add-in has 4 hundreds. 8 tens, which is 80, and 2 ones. Okay, so now I've done step 1. I've wrote my numbers in expanded form. Step 2 says I'm going to add the ones column, and if necessary, regroup. So I have 2 plus 2 equals 4. I don't need to regroup. Okay, this column I have 90 plus 80. Okay, so a few ways you could add that is you could start with your larger add-in and say 90 and then count up. Or you could also look at just your tens column and say 9 plus 8. But 90 plus 80, I might count up and say I have 90 and then I have 100, and I need to add 8 more 10s. So 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, 170. So I'm getting 170. Okay, here is the problem with this, friends. I can't have this here. Because if I have 100 here, shouldn't the 100 go in the hundreds column? The 100 needs to go in the hundreds column. So I'm going to take this 100 away. If I take 100 away, I'm only left with 70. And I'm going to take this 100 and put it in the hundreds column, because this is where the hundreds need to be. So this 170, I'm going to only leave the 70 and put the 100 there. Okay, so now let me add my hundreds. I have 100 plus 300 would be 400. 400 plus 400 would be 800. Okay, so my answer is 874. So my answer is 874. In working form, I would set this up and I would want to make sure I had my columns really nice. So my ones, tens, and hundreds. I have 392, 482. And what this would look like in working form is I'd have 2 plus 2 is 4. 9 plus 8, well, 9 and then add 8 more is 17. So I would put my 7 and I'd put my 1 up here. So we've done this before, this working form. And when we did this last time, friends, I kind of told you this cool thing is that when I added 9 plus 8 and got 17, doesn't it still look like a 17? The 1 is in front of the 7, it's just up here. And then I have 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 4 more is 8. So I get 874 in working form also. Okay, I'm going to do another one. Actually, my next one is 243 plus 449. Okay, so step 1 says I'm going to put my numbers in expanded form in my place value chart. So remember, I said I'm going to use my place values, ones, tens, hundreds. Notice how I always start in the ones. Ones, tens, hundreds. And that will help me put it in expanded form. Okay, so I have 2 hundreds. I have 4 tens, which is 40, and I have 3 ones. Here I have 4 hundreds, which is 400, 4 tens, which is 40, and 9 ones. Okay, so step 1 was I put them in expanded form. Now I'm going to start to add, and I always start in my ones column. I always start in my ones column. So I have 3 plus 9 is 12. Okay, but friends, when I put 12 here, notice there's a 1, which this is the 10. I can't have 10s in this column. So I'm going to take this 10 away. Well, if I take 10 away, what's left? Just 2? And I'm going to put that 10 up here in the tens column, because this is the ones column, so I can only have ones here. Okay, now in my tens column, I have 10 plus 40 is 50, and 50 plus 40 is 90. And I have no hundreds here, so this can stay. I don't need to regroup. I only have to regroup when I have something that doesn't belong in that column. And over here, I have 200 plus 400 is 600. Okay, so I have 692. 692. Okay, let's see what this looked like in working form. So I'm going to put my place values, ones, tens, hundreds. And I have my first addend was 243. My second addend is 449. Okay, when I add 3 plus 9, I get 12. But we know I can't put a 12 there. So I put a 2 there. And I'm going to add 1 to the tens place. Because I'm just adding 1 10. And look it looks like a 12. 1, 2 looks like a 12. And then I get 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 4 more is 9, and then 2 plus 4 is 6. So my sum is still 692. I just used a different strategy. Okay, boys and girls, let's do some together. We are on page 237. We're on page 237. Page 237, and let's look at this one. Here's our first one. It says 538 plus 337. Okay, so our first step, remember boys and girls, is to write it in expanded form on our place value chart. So before we do that, let's put our place values here. So we have the ones, tens, hundreds. Ones, tens, hundreds. Okay, that will help us write it. So in this one, I have five hundreds. We have 500. So let's write 500. We have 3 tens, which is 30. And we have 8 ones, which is 8. Okay, over here we have, in this add-in, we have 3 hundreds, which is 300, 3 tens, which is 30, and 7 ones, which is just 7. Okay, so when we add these, we get 8 plus 7 is 15. But can we have a 10? This is in the tens column. 15 has a 10 in it. So we need to take that 10 away. Well, if I take 10 from there, I only have 5 left, and I'm going to put the 10 over here. Okay, so here we have 10 plus 30 is 40, plus 30 more is 70, and then I have 500 plus 300 is 800. So my sum is 875. My sum is 875. Okay, let's see this in working form. So in working form, we have ones, tens, hundreds. Ones, tens, hundreds, and let's put our first add-in. Make sure you're putting them in the right columns. 538 plus 337. Okay, so what happens? We have 8 plus 7 was 15, but we put the 5 here, and then we're going to put 110 up here. So here I wrote 10, but here I'm just saying I'm going to put 110. I'm just going to put 110. So in the tens, I have 110, 3 more tens, and 3 more tens. So I have 7 tens total. And then in the hundreds, I have 500s and 300s, so I have 800s total. So my sums are the same because it's the same problem. I just use different strategies. Okay. Okay, let's start number 2. Okay, number 2 is 798 plus 91. Okay, so step 1 is we're going to put it in expanded form, but before we do that, let's write our place values in. Ones, tens, hundreds, and ones and tens. So my first add-in has 7 hundreds, which is 700, 9 tens, which is 90, and 8 ones, which is 8. Okay, my second add-in doesn't have any hundreds, but it has 9 tens, which is 90, and 1 1, which is 1. Okay, our next step says we're going to start adding in the ones column. So we have 8 plus 1 is 9, and I don't have to regroup because there's no tens here. Okay, here I have 90 plus 90. Well, 90 plus 90 is 180. And there's a few ways you could do that. You could say 9 plus 9 is 18. So I have 18 tens, or I thought I could give one of these tens to this and make it 100, and then I'd have 80 left here. So it's 180. Now, this is the tens column. I can't have 100 here. So if I take 100 away from there, friends, if I take the 100 away, what do I have left? I just have 80 left. And let's put that 100 up here. So now I have 100 plus 700 is 800. So what is our sum? 889. Our sum is 889. Let's see that in working form. We have ones, tens, hundreds. So we have 798 plus 91. Okay, so in the ones column, we have 8 plus 1 is 9. In the tens column, I have 9 tens plus 9 more tens is 18 tens. So I'm going to put an 8 here and carry the 1. So I had 18 tens, and look, I wrote 18. I just put the 1 up there. So in the hundreds, I have 100 plus 7 hundreds is 8 hundreds. So my sum is 889. Okay, boys and girls, have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.